very sacred lines. They're dragon lines, and they're fields of information that are now being birthed into plasmic frequencies that are actually going to support the planet. So these are direct memory fields from the higher planes of creation. The dragon mothers. Dragons play a huge part in the formation of worlds and the creation of what's happening here.
Hi guys, excited to be here. Welcome to the Metaphysical Hour with my awesome gifted friend, Metaphysical Ash, or Ashley Pfeiffer. This is a little spin-off series we're doing with the Immersive Podcast, where we're basically giving talented people the chance to come out and share their gifts. So I would love to have Ashley tell you about her gifts and her story. So go ahead, Ash, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, Jane. It's an honor to be here and to connect with you on the Immersive Podcast. My name is Ashley Pfeiffer. I also go by Metaphysical Ash. I am your spiritual guide and meditation coach. I help the spiritually awakened, and the psychically aware navigate the challenges they come across on their journey of self-mastery and self-actualization.
That's awesome. Like, is this something that you knew from the time you were a child? Like, what's your maybe what would be like your moment as a kid that you realized this is?
Yeah. I didn't realize as a child. It only hit me once I was an adult. I actually felt for the longest time that my sensitivities, my awareness, and my vision into the other realms was mental illness. So it wasn't until I hit adulthood that I really realized it wasn't a limitation. It wasn't mental illness. I could actually use it as an advantage to help myself and to help other people. So for a long time, I was conflicted and I struggled with what I saw. I did not think it was real.
So like, I can relate to the mental health issues because I'm still not sure if I'm actually channeling or getting information or if it's like my, psychosis or something. So I'm like one of those people I have to validate, I have to verify. So if I get a download, I'll sit with it. Then I'll go to like my channeling friend, Abram, or I'll go to somebody else like Gail, the Bushi healer, who I know was always on the same. And then I'll go to Sarah Bresman Cosme because she gets her clients' information. So that's my process. When did you know that, like, I'm not crazy? Like, I know what I saw and I'm going to start believing in myself.
Around 28. Well, actually around 26, I started preparing for what would have been my third wave of awakening. And I was hearing things, I was seeing things. At 28, I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. I started seeing sacred geometries. That led me to physics, to some of the content by Nassim Haramein and what he does with unified physics and quantum theory. That helped me connect the dots. So at the beginning, I was very much questioning everything that was happening to me. I still do to this day, question it. I've learned how to run it through different channels of my body to really discern what is in alignment and on the frequency vibration that I want to experience and want to create, and what is interference or imposition, because there's absolutely nothing in consciousness that does not exist. It's all there, everything. It's just how we experience and how close is that to its actualization in the world of form, bringing that consciousness into waveform, into matter. How close are we to the actualization of those manifestations, timelines, potentials? It's all there. It's just what has the most momentum to drop into world of form and experience.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Like, what we focus on, we create. And the more even with social media, it's like the more you look at the scary stuff or the fear porn and all of that, the more it seems to show up not only in your algorithm because they're monitoring our thoughts and they're also monitoring our, preferences and where our eyes are darting to, but just in general, like, it just seems right now the time has sped up and the frequency is like almost they're all converging, because not only does it seem like everything's already there where before it didn't. Like before it felt like things were out of reach or like, how could that happen? Now it feels like, oh my gosh, that's actually, that could happen. And also feels like simultaneously things are happening. Like they have always been simultaneous, but at the same time, all of a sudden, like the dream from your childhood's coming in, and then like a dream from an adulthood's coming in, and then all of a sudden an old friend's coming in. It's like everything is coming together and contracting in this merging of timelines. Do you, with your channelings, get any insights as to like what is happening and what we're going through and how people could deal with that?
Yes, and what you just hinted on a popular topic, and that is the third eye awakening. Some of what you experience when your third eye awakens is your multidimensionality, the spiral of time, being present within no time. What I've been told and what I've been able to connect with through my higher, I call them higher angles or streams of consciousness, moving upward into the space and time fields, which have their own intelligence. They have their own systems and ways that they operate to bring and contribute to matter into form. What I've been told is that humanity is at an evolutionary point. So the harmonic of our universe is raising, it's vibrating. And with that being the micro to the macro, we are shifting. So we are shifting how we create, how we think, how we manifest, how we actualize reality. And I hypothesize that as consciousness evolves and expands, so do our laws of physics. They're going to change. The laws of physics, I believe, to be limited on where consciousness is in its current development and evolution. So here we go. You and I've had private conversations about quantum leaps and what's possible. And every time I talk to you, I feel like I am closer and closer to dropping into that reality, collapsing time and space around me, and really getting on that path of my highest, most heroic probability. And that's one of your magic powers. That's one of your superpowers, Jane.
Okay, so I don't know if it's superpower or if it's just some delusional, because when I had seen, like, years ago, I saw The Secret and I was like, oh my God, if you focus on it and you vision board, and I did that whole thing, but it always worked. So then, like, I was programmed, like, if you write it down and you focus on it and you have a vision board, like, it'll start to show up, like law of attraction. It wasn't until my unfortunate dark awakening in 2019 where I was like, wait, there's aliens, there's underground tunnels, like that awakening. That's when all of a sudden I felt like my power was gone. And it was like, what happened now? I can't just manifest. And I never realized it was only because the first part of my awakening was out of pure bliss and joy, and Abraham Esther Hicks and like Wayne Dyer and like, Eckhart Tolle and all the good stuff. And just like, oh, being in bliss, no labels, and we're all one. And then when I had that second awakening, it was like cosmic disclosure and like, cover ups and all the conspiracies and all those things that we can't even talk about. And I was like, this is life. Like, this is way worse than I had imagined. So when I thought the thoughts of fear and anxiety, and I can't believe this is life now, I couldn't manifest because my frequency was so low that I would only pull more of that fear towards me. So I started having panic attacks when there would be solar flares. Like what you're saying and what we're saying is that, like, you can quantum jump, and we do many times a day, because when you get up in the morning, you're cranky and you're on one timeline, like, it's like, oh, I got to do this. Then you have a cup of coffee and it's like, oh, I got to call so-and-so. I got to do this because you get the low caffeine high. That's another timeline. Then it's like, you're having a great day playing with your kids, and then all of a sudden you think of work, and that puts you, and then, so it's like we're constantly jumping frequencies, which is jumping timelines, because when you're in a high timeline, you look back on your childhood and you look back with admiration and gratitude. When you're in a low timeline in your current reality, you look back and go, nobody ever cared. I was alone, and you go into that lower. So there is no like past, present, and future. There's just frequency. And so if you want to get to that next level, like what we're saying, we talk and we get motivated, all we have to do, especially now, is come together, especially as like women coming together, because women is like, I watched this thing with Jason Shurka on Unified TV, and it said like one woman is equivalent to the power of 10 men. And I was like, really? So even if it was just, wherever that stat came from, if we use it as a way to empower ourselves, then we feel empowered and we can decide, especially now when we're supposed to have heaven on earth, what is our highest timeline? And if we don't know, well, then we can ask our higher selves to direct us, give us a sign, because we're done of the point of just allowing and life happening to us. We all know too much. Most people are starting to wake up, and to know that you can just shift your frequency and say, you know what, I'm not a loser. I can do this. And then magic happens is all you need, but it happens with support. So when you said that it's my superpower, it's only my superpower because people like you, because I'm afraid to talk to most people, and I'm afraid to talk to girls, and because I have my own, feminine wounds. So when you came along and this beautiful, like, I got dressed up for you, because you're so glamorous
You look
and
great.
you're so down to earth and you're so like, you're just so good at what you do. And like, you have such a great, calm way about you. I was like, okay, so now I'm going to work with somebody who is not only teaching me so much, but we're coming together to raise up the fact that, women can support each other. And if there's other women out there, the metaphysical Ash Hour, which is produced by, Ash, so it'll go any direction you want. But like, how cool would it be to have on different, empowering females that have messages and just have more and more of us come together and then support each other? Like, that would be a paradigm shift, right? What do you think, Ash? Do you think that women need to kind of come together more?
Absolutely. I think, anytime there's more than one, like you and I, now we have created a collective, a higher intelligence field that is navigating the interactions between the two of us. And then we add more, and then we add more, and our collective builds, our energy expands. And as we unify, we create this plasmic field that moves with us. And there's so much power in that. There's so much power in finding your tribe, your resonance, and honoring it. Even when that tribe, that community provides contrast or discord or triggers you in some way, shape, or form,
And they
you
will,
take that as an opportunity.
because it's
Yeah, it
part
will.
of the
You're right.
growth. Yeah. And that's what's so great is like, I love you because you see like the way I do is like, there's going to be people and it's not really the person. It's really whatever we are reflecting out of them, our own insecurities. And like, if you can take responsibility for your own, like, you know what, maybe I need to like step back and, change that behavior or work on that. Then that like rapidly talk about quantum leap, that rapidly quantum leaps you because it's like almost like we're in this game, right? Construct where our team or our council or whoever it is that we talk to or guardian angels, everybody has something different, right? So, and source is almost like giving us like impulses. Okay, you could do this, you can have that. And then our like, mind and the earth mind is like, oh, you can't do that. That's so much work. And we get these impulses and these inspirations and we're constantly like fighting this internal battle. I want to do that, but how do I do that? But here's the thing. The funniest thing is that when you actually speak to somebody else and connect and try to help somebody else, like without an agenda, the universe has this magical way of bringing you exactly what you need next. It's almost like it's saying, hey, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that you're on the right track. And that goes along with like 1111, 333, all of those numbers, 444, because those are my markers so that I know I'm on track. What are your markers? Do you get direct contact? Like, how do you know?
Oh, man, I see a lot of numbers, just like you do. Tons of numbers, synchronicities. Now, because I've built my practice and I've built my body and structured my system around me, it's very visceral. So I can feel it very viscerally. And the greatest challenge throughout the past few years was releasing myself from judgment, but accepting my preferences. So I'm releasing myself from judging what others may be doing, experiencing, how they may be creating their lives. And I'm accepting and embracing my preferences, knowing that I'm not necessarily for everyone and everyone's not necessarily for me. As unfortunate as it is, there are layers and levels to the awakening, and we have to honor that. And with that knowing comes great responsibility. This has been a topic of conversation with so many clients because the people I work with, they're on the awakening. They know what they know, and they're watching people navigate and participate in things without knowing or understanding the deeper foundational levels of energy. And in that place, when you are there, it's your job to hold compassion, not to judge, just to observe and understand that everything in creation is playing its part as it's meant to. And as you do that, you free yourself from those exact constructs that we seek to dissolve. So it's a delicate game, the game of energy.
It is. It is. And I love the fact that you do acknowledge because it's hard for people to acknowledge this. And I do it all the time. Like I was just having this conversation earlier with someone. I was like, I will apologize if I yell, if I act crazy, if like, just like hormonal, like even when like going through the pregnancy thing and you're crazy, like I would always be like, I'm really sorry. It's not me. Like I'm going to work on this. And there's some people that no matter what they do, they just It's like they don't even want to, they'll never even bend. So I find, myself always being like, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, and over apologizing. And that's part of like giving your power away because you're constantly trying to please somebody and trying to like take, like, well, no, it's okay. I shouldn't have said that. I triggered you. So there's this like energy that started coming through in January. And I'm sure you felt it, where it was like all the wimpiness in me and all the insecurities were all of a sudden like still there. They're like, it's time. And I was like, it's time for what? Like, what are we here? It's time. And, I don't get like like I get knowings. So like, which is really messed up because no one believes in knowing because there's like nobody to like say, oh, I'm Archangel Michael or, this person or Nostradamus or whatever it is. It's like, I just know. And then it's like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, I don't know. So I got this knowing that basically like we have to step into our power and that like the inverted like womb matrix is the same word as womb. And it's in the Bible, even the matrix, it says it so many times. And the power of the womb and the women coming together because women, are creators. We have portals inside us and we have that ability to, create that life. And I think a lot of us were shamed and embarrassed about, everything from sexuality to, expressing ourselves to even the process of giving birth. Like I know it flipped me out and I hated it. And I like fought every part of it and cried my way through it because I thought the whole thing was so foreign. And I was like, oh, there's an alien. It's a pet. But that's because, again, I needed that lesson. I was probably a dude in a past life and whatever. But it's like, I know these lessons and people sometimes will recognize them, but not everybody does. So instead they fight it. And then, like you said, if you judge it now, not only are you pulling it towards you, but you're going back to that dualistic reality and blaming somebody else or judging them going, oh, I can't believe you did that. When then the universe has this great way of actually making it come around where the same thing happens to you one day and you go, I never should have judged that person because it's all a reflection of lessons. And if the lesson doesn't get learned and like it just keeps showing up and it'll show up in all different forms. So the best thing I always think of the analogy is like by not forgiving somebody and not taking like, oh, I made this lesson or I needed this lesson. It's like when you're mad at somebody, it's like drinking poison and you're hoping they get sick and you're just drinking that poison and staying mad. And I always remember that, like, why would I want to poison myself and hold on to this anger when like then they win again? So instead, it's like, wait a minute, what did I learn? How can I not have this happen again? And then you start getting some, and then you say, like, for me, my thing is like, okay, I get it. I got the lesson. I hope I graduated. So like, let's move on. And I swear when we talked about quantum jumping, after doing that, magic happens because they're like, all right, she's not ignoring it. And that, if you think about it, the whole purpose of Earth is to be conscious and to be aware and to actually like intention and to accept, like you have to ask and you have to give consent. So if you're just sitting there doing nothing and you don't even acknowledge that it's a lesson, then nothing ever has a witness or has a space to go into making it better. It's almost like you're just putting a lid on it and you don't want anything to see it and you're just shoving it down. And nothing ever can then energetically, come out and be transmuted into the lotus flower. So I love the way you put it. And for people who at all different levels, there's some people waking up that are like, this sounds like crazy. What are they talking about? And they're just waking up to, wait, fluoride's bad? Or, wait, maybe I should do a detox. Maybe there are heavy metals. Then there's people like us who, you're more advanced than I am because you can channel and do all this amazing stuff. But there's someone like me who's like a bridge who was in biotech and had to like completely assess my life of what felt right because my downloads were getting stronger. But then you get to your level and like your level blows me away because it's like the stuff that of like it's like magic because you can actually get downloads, right? And direct communication. Can you explain like who your guides are? If they have like, if it's a collective or like a little bit more about what you're doing with your channeling?
Yeah. So the part that I play in consciousness in this quantum soup is I'm highly psychically aware. So I can tune in and connect with some of those higher spheres of intelligence, the creator God worlds. When I came into this universal construct, I came through a specific ray, a specific sound tone field that was golden, and it's connected to a specific order. And because of the way I came in and what I'm able to connect with, my consciousness is expanded. I'm able to reach different angles of intelligence. I realized this after that Galactic Origins cruise because it was so easy for me to tune into all these galactic channels and alliances. There wasn't a single one that I couldn't tune into. And I realized that pretty quickly. And I think we all have this capability, and we're all navigating consciousness and offering the gifts that we're meant to give. When we put ourselves in a position and we're looking at other as superior or inferior, that's actually a misalignment with the entire structure. So as I'm on this call with you, it's the we, and we both have our gifts. And Jane has her contribution, her genius, her intelligence, and I have mine. And then together we create the we. And if we can develop that mindset and use it anywhere we navigate without positioning someone as inferior, or superior, that's going to be where we connect directly in with our genius, with our truest, most pure alignment, truly, because we all have different gifts. And that's how I feel about that. Because I didn't want you to put me like I have second
I was
vision.
doing to you what we did to the Anunnaki, what was done to like, all I'm like, she's got this gift. And I get it. Like I could see how that happened back then because you see people that are like, waking up and then you see people who are able to channel and they are like connected to the gods. So again, it's a human nature thing that we have this worship gene that all of a sudden it's like embedded in our DNA, a worship gene. So like whether it's people who worship cars or people who worship celebrities, I don't know, if there's even any celebrities, but there's people who worship status. There's people, and it's almost like that's their thing. And for me, I tend to do it to other people, but it's not even like celebrities. It's like people that I meet and I'm like, oh my God, you're awesome. And part
That's
of
you,
that,
because you're awesome.
well, thank you. But
That's your
that's
family.
that's what I'm trying to do now. It's like, okay, if I could think this many people are awesome, then like, I mean, and they're friends with me and they're awesome. So like maybe I'm not that bad. And like it's amazing how it takes like almost such an talking to yourself, like in order to even get to that point. How did you get, because you're so poised and well spoken and calm and like you had your awakening at 28, right? In the Kundalini, but did you do like breathing and mantras? Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
because I need something to like learn. I hold my breath all the time. I'm always like, I forget to breathe because I'll just like hold it. And then I'm like, why didn't I just breathe? So like just simple things like that I think people forget to do, which is breathing. Do you have anything like you can show us?
Right now, so as we sit here, as we have this conversation, and for those who are watching, it's as simple as noticing where you are, how you are in space and time. So when you take that deep breath, you feel the lungs expand, you notice your spine, you notice your shoulders, you decide and intend who you're going to be, and then you choose your thoughts because psychic attacks are real. Sometimes we think we're thinking, that's not always the case. You get to claim and command who you are, how you're being, and the way energy works within the quantum is there are all these frequencies. There's all these layers of creation that seek to sustain themselves through us, through the holographic nature of the human body. You get to choose. And as Jane is sitting here with me, noticing the front of her chest, the tip of her chin, the back of her head, she gets to reclaim and command who she is, how present she is here and now. And you notice what supports you, like you notice the chair. Look around you. Where are you and where is something else? Like your skin is a significant barrier. And this right here, the high heart, that's an activated chakra. And a lot of people, yours is activated, it's awakened. When it's vulnerable, we don't have boundaries there. It impacts your thymus and the stress hormones. So bringing awareness just to this area of the body and then bringing that 360 degrees is going to help you discern what's yours and what's theirs. Because when you awaken, when the human body goes through a physiological shift and your plasma is vibrating at a different level, you're seen. The energies in between the realms can see you. And that's a threat to their existence because now you know the power that you hold and you're no longer moving through life as a tool. You're going to be the one who impacts the environment rather than the environment impacting you. So the self-awareness, like the tools we're going through now, just noticing the body, front, back, side to side, top to bottom. This is your house. And you start to feel it. You start to notice your skin, how sounds hit you, where they hit you. You come in contact with other people. Where do you feel that in your body? You know what I mean?
It's amazing those things about creating awareness in each part of your body, and it's almost like the grounding thing, because it truly, even if you don't believe in psychic attacks, because everyone has their own frame of reference, like when the one thing I know is that if you're not consciously aware in the earth game, you'll be like, just say, a role in somebody else's game. Like if you don't, it's just like when you're a kid and you try to like follow the cool kid at school, and everybody's doing what the cool kid's doing, who's setting all the trends, and like everyone's trying to keep up with them, but nobody, realizes that if they just started doing that too, they would be creating, and that everybody would want to follow that energy. So I kind of look at it like that, where it's like, we are tools, and we're going to be used because they harvest energy. And the whole thing is, once you wake up, to then be able to take that energy, call it in from wherever you want to call it in from all your timelines, and say, I am breathing. I am, this Jane avatar, and I'm present. And like, I've done the mantras in the shower, and they really do help. And I remove all low entities and energies. I'm only in my highest timeline. But I also truly believe that if you constantly state with consent that you do not allow anything except for your connection to source or anything to attach to you, that it truly does help protect you, because everything is mind. So if a fear feeds it and feeds the egregor, makes it bigger, makes the monster bigger, then that's an emotion. And if the emotion of confidence of I'm protected because I'm source and I'm God, and that protects you, it's just like using the force. Well, the force is just a feeling inside you. So it's almost like knowing is the whole battle, because if you know that you're awake and you're aware that you're now you can pull that energy in, and then you can say, and I'm aware that I can create my highest timeline. So I'm only going to allow myself in that frequency and in that vision, and not get scared and have those lower emotions, because I know I'm a divine creator. So it's like a whole way of empowering yourself, but it just takes sometimes a mantra or a breathing technique. And that breathing technique you just did, like, it's so easy, because now anytime I sit up, I'm going to be like, I'm aware of my breathing, I'm aware of my back, and I'm just going to sit up, and it grounds you and pulls you back to your power. And I love that. And again, like, you're so poised that when I speak with you, it actually calms me down. It's almost like you're sending out a frequency of like just chillness or like relaxation. Like
Theta.
it's awesome.
The theta frequency. I spent a year of my practice feeling chronically exhausted until I realized I am now operating and tuning into theta so that I can take that into different places and spaces.
I can
It's
feel it. I'm not even kidding you. Like, people must feel it. Your clients must be like, oh my gosh. Cause it's almost like this calming, but like it also feeds you. Like, I mean, like, usually when I talk to people, I get drained. Like afterwards, I'd be like, cause I'm an introvert. So it takes my energy, as opposed to people extrovert like Tyler, who's the host too. Like, he gets energized from talking to people. But when I talk to you, I just feel peaceful and calm. So is that something that you actually like do a mantra? Is it just the way you are? Is it something that you like said you did theta, that you have to get yourself into like a certain
resonance. And yeah,
resonance?
I intentionally shifted myself into this frequency for our conversation
Well, that's
because
awesome.
and it is that it's our body can operate as a scalar wave, and we can impact people through the quantum. Like, you and I aren't even in the same state, but you can hear and you can feel the frequency through my sound tone.
We're not even here. We're on like a spaceship streaming in, or some other, like, at least that's what I believe. And I know everybody has their own thing, but we're definitely like, nothing is physically real. It's all vibrating. It's atoms and molecules. So like, science proves that everything is not static, and that, first of all, we're a bag of bones and made up of 80% water. And like, just nothing about it makes any sense. Or machine, like, we work like a machine, just knows what to do. So I think of ourselves like biological avatars that are like this suit, and the biological ships that are grown in order to peruse Earth and its experience. Like, we're the motherships in a sense, because we're the portal ships that come in that can grow other ships, because through the eyes and the lens of the avatars, ETs and other different entities can actually experience it, even lower entities, which goes back to psychic attacks. Like if the people are at a bar, can you see like the lower energies? Like if people in those lower dimensional places, like I think of
Yeah.
bars, supposedly
I
they
can
hang out at
see
bars
it.
a lot because people are drinking alcohol. Tell me about it.
I can see it. I've experienced it. I've worked with people that have addiction and addiction. Some addictive tendencies actually have intelligent frequencies that will sit on their shoulders and they'll navigate into their nervous system and into their meridian channels. Popular areas for that are around the low back, sides of the head, and then right between the shoulder blades. That's
That's where they must get the angel and the devil thing on your shoulder. That's, I
probably
bet you where it comes from. Do you want each one? Because it's going to go, oh my gosh,
it
these women,
embeds in the meridians of the body and then
your chakras and everything are
becomes part
involved.
of the nervous system and then they have
Mhm.
visceral reactions. It's this is frequency and these frequencies are intelligent, but I've seen it all. I've experienced it all. I've
How do you
experienced
get rid of it? Like, do you like pull it out? Like, what do you,
to
is
pull
it
it out. And some people actually are very talented at pulling that stuff out of people. Sometimes it takes a series of sessions and commitment from that individual. You know what when you said consent, sometimes what exists within you is a genetic and biological program you incarnated into, what they would call generational curses or epigenetic expression, science calls it.
ancestral
You
trauma?
can change that. You can
Mhm.
shift that by tuning into your energetics, like the short practice I walked us through. That's how you start. And then you start going into different areas of the body, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the sexual organs. There's information coded in there. There's information. Your body is basically like this entire matrix of its own, holding the frequency keys that contribute to how we create and manifest reality.
And before anybody thinks this is crazy or not true, there was actually, this is where I first learned about this. It blew my mind. But there was the thing on Goop with Gwyneth Paltrow where they basically showed somatic energy healing. The guy, Juliana Huff, the dancer from Dancing with the Stars, was on it. And he just would go near her leg and her foot, and she would be like writhing in pain. And then when he finally worked on her foot, she started hysterically crying, and it brought back a memory of like trauma from her childhood, and it was this chronic injury that was embedded. The emotion was so embedded in her ankle and her that she never healed because she never dealt with the emotion. So people like don't maybe think that everything is, some people think everything is tangible, but if your Merkaba is at least 6 feet or bigger around you, depending on your energy field, and somebody's in that energy field and they're manipulating and they can move someone like Juliana Huff and make her do all these things and then also free up her emotions that were trapped in her foot, it's like, do we really know from what we've been taught? Or is this maybe something people should explore, that there's a lot more to the body? It stores emotions, it stores them in your chakras, it stores them in your meridian points. And how do you know when your whole life you could be carrying around this ancestral trauma that all you have to do is maybe acknowledge it, make peace with it, and release it, or talk to somebody like Metaphysical Ash who can teach you how to get into a higher level and also get away from those, old ancestral painful ties. So, I mean, I love everything about what you're doing because, like we talked earlier, this could be heaven or hell, like this earth experience. Like we both said, like, there's people right now that are experiencing their hell on earth, and then there's people who are experiencing just not even taking like, just talking about like people. Some people enjoy being tied up and being in bondage, and then to other people, that's like imprisonment. So, like, it just shows you that there is a spectrum. And so, if there is a spectrum, so that we can choose, so that we even know what potentially could be our heaven on earth, because how do you even know if you don't know what you prefer and you're just in these blank bodies, in these blank worlds, and there's nothing to choose from? So we go through almost like this period where we're choosing, oh, I like that, until we get to the choice point of, okay, now it's time to either, create and allow those things, or to just constantly say, oh, I don't have that. And I think that's what this period of time is. It's like, what is your highest version and what is your heaven on earth? Because it's all based on what your belief systems are. And if you're going to let a belief system that's been programmed into you not allow you to enjoy the time where we're most free going into the age of Aquarius, then that's old programming, like the elephant we talked about, the baby elephant with a rope around its ankle. It grows up to be a big elephant, but it doesn't run away because that little tiny rope it just remembers that kept me as a baby stuck. we're free, right? So how can we free people now? And you're so skilled at doing this, like an exercise or something from your services and like the courses that you offer to make people realize not only are you free, but like you have that ability to now have that choice point and create that heaven on earth instead of feeling like you're in hell on earth.
Yeah. We use our mind as a tool. That's a powerful
Wait,
way.
do you have a vision thing you do where you envision something? We can both envision and ask people to envision at the same time, like the power of the 100 monkey effect.
I wouldn't create a vision because for me and what's worked for me in my work is teaching people to ask themselves the right questions because you don't know what you don't know. And it can be challenging to visualize a future when you have absolutely no reference point. I mean, you can think to yourself, how good would it look? Can you visualize that? But even within that, based on current logic, you can create limitations. So you ask yourself, how good could it get? And as you were speaking, it brought me to, some personal experiences I had where I thought one thing was divine. This is divinity. This is what it means to be a divine feminine, only to later learn that through my commitment, simply intent and commitment to be the best I can and to serve the divine, the highest of my capabilities, did I really recognize what divinity was and what it felt like. And I got closer and closer and closer to that. The more committed I became to that path, to healing my body, to detox, not just detoxing physically, but detoxing people, detoxing ideas, detoxing media that limited me and kept me in that deep, dark space. And I'm going to keep it real. I navigate those deep, dark, nasty, dirty places. I really do. And it's part of the work that I do. I'm not scared to go down to that depth of hell and to accept that I am that as well, because it gives me the momentum to reach the heights of heaven. I believe that's how I've been able to reach those higher spheres because I've gone so deeply into the structure of consciousness where I recognize, I am all that is, the infinite. And how can I judge someone who has done these atrocities when I have actually gone down into that and felt it viscerally and accepted it without judgment? That's our capacity to hold and to expand and to support evolution and to purge out some of what isn't necessarily meant to be here on this planet, what wasn't part of the plan.
Right. And I love that. Or even your individual timeline, because maybe there's stuff here like everything exists and we're in a collective mind. So there's going to be stuff showing up that, no, I don't want to look at that. But that's the beauty of having your own ability in your own timeline to create your own reality. Because, if we get distracted looking at the collective's reality, which is usually based on stuff that was programmed into us, like MK Ultra and fear. So it's based on false narratives. And then if we keep looking at it and saying, no, this is wrong, we're only putting more energy into that timeline. But if we acknowledge it and say, okay, I do not consent to the WEF agendas. I do not consent to these things. I am a free will being. I am divine source energy, whatever you want to say. But my birthright is to have free will. That's the whole point of this planet. So basically, if I don't consent and I'm aware of your agenda and I only consent to my highest timeline, then at least like you're setting yourself up for they're breaking spiritual law. And we know that if they break spiritual law enough, the ETs are supposed to show up. Just like if they break the, nuclear bomb thing, they're supposed to show up. So for me, in my own belief system, because somebody who believes in something totally different would think this is insane, I use the tool of my mind to give myself permission slips to not be scared by saying, okay, anything is possible. But if I truly am divine source energy in a human suit, then I should be able to, if everybody needs consent, like even the vampire needs consent to come to your house, you need consent to even get help from angels, you're supposed to ask. So if everything's about consent and I don't consent to any of that, I only consent to my highest timeline, then according to the rules of the game and the spiritual laws, I should be protected. And if I'm not, well then game over, you need to fix the game because it's not right. And supposedly the game has been fixed. Supposedly the light is won. Supposedly we made it and that's why we're all here. So now the only thing that doesn't allow it is the fighting against it. Because if you pick a side and you judge and you think you know better, well, the same thing's going to happen like last time. I thought Oprah was great. Learned a hard lesson there. You think all of these things. I never knew what was going on with the whole Diddy situation and all of that. And I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I was into Biggie and all of that. there's been timeline shifts. There's been Mandela effects. There were definitely things that were, I mean, Betsy Ross, when I was a kid, sewed the first flag. And I know that. And guess what? It's not that anymore. It's somebody else. It's some dude. So the point is that there's definitely been some timeline slips. I mean, everybody remembers even the movie Shazam, not the Kazam or whatever it is with Sinbad. Anyway, I'm just putting a little breadcrumbs out there because I know I'm not the only crazy person that remembers Ed McMahon with red balloons. They going door to door with the big check. All right. So these are real things that have happened. And if they're not real, then that means that there's a timeline manipulation, right? So if there's timeline manipulations and it's proven, then why can't we manipulate them too if we're so powerful? And since the whole game is a projection of our consciousness, if you believe you're powerful, you're powerful. So that's what I mean by like, I think we're at the point where it's not arrogant for us to realize how powerful we are as individuals, but we need to come together to realize that we're so much more powerful when we take each unique, authentic aspect of each one of us and we put it together, because not all of us are meant to be gorgeous and refined and speaking in public and doing what, like some of us like me are a hermit. Like I will get off of this camera and put on my comfy clothes and just, hide from the world. But
Just stay comfy cozy too.
I know, but you're just like, you're always so glamorous. And I always think of you as like being like the healer to the stars, or like, and not that the stars, but the healer to like because everybody resonates to a certain personality. And like you are even elevating me to be more of like embracing my feminine side. It's not easy. I'm more of like a masculine personality. So like I'm learning from you and it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's like something that if we could just pair up each one of us that feels so different, I bet you would all realize that we're all connected. We all have something that we love about each other. And if we could just get rid of the competition, we would all help each other so much. Like, I know I'll help you till like we're done with this Earth project, anything you need, support, and you would do the same for me. But we can do that with more people, more women, especially. So not just to exclude the men, but I feel like we're in a woman period right now where the last bit of the puzzle where Mother Earth is feeling, she needs love, and that mother energy and the whole distortion of the mother womb portal and the whole woman, feeling insignificant when truly, we have to start believing in ourselves and supporting each other. And that's something I really hope. So people reach out if you hear this, if you want to support other women, come on these shows, talk about your services, your products, like whatever it is. Because how cool would it be like to have like a QVC, not QVC, but like a show where you're talking to another woman and you're getting their story like yours and you're finding out how awesome they are. And then they're like, you know what? Let's offer a discount of the services for anybody watching this. And then you get to sell your services, but other women get to know you and then sign up and get a discount and support each other. And that's what I mean. It's like, we're all in this together. So on that note, before we go today, can you walk us through like a little bit about your services and what you do? And then what maybe you want to end this like with meditation or something?
Yeah, we can do like a tune in. We can do a quick meditation.
Sorry to talk so much.
No, great. This is great, Jane. I love it. And I
You
love
activate me. Like I go from being like, I'm so tired. Then I talk to you and I'm like, ah.
because you have so much wisdom inside of you that a lot of people are going to relate with.
Thank you. My husband doesn't think so though. So it's,
Okay. Sometimes it's the people closest to us that are our greatest challenge that really do us a service in solidifying our knowing and confirming who we are. I went through something very similar. I was with my partner for almost 10 years. When I had my awakening, we separated. He thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy.
I heard that happens to a lot of people too. Like
We came back together and things are different. I shifted energetically. He shifted energetically because that 1+1=3 and that dynamic that controlled, our interactions became more harmonized when we both honored our authenticity rather than the fear. So we're playing this energy game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a gift in the contrast they provide. And that's what I love to help people navigate. So I am truly passionate about working one-on-one with individuals who are spiritually awakened or psychically curious to know and understand what exists beyond the veil and dive deeper into some of these esoteric practices. And I use a lot of science-backed tools and modalities and resources. I'm connecting the dots between science and spirituality in a practical way that does work for people. And if you want to know more, you can visit my website. It is my first and last name.com. You can also find me on most social platforms as Metaphysical Ash. And if you're interested, shoot me an email, schedule a session. I would love to meet you.
My gosh, honestly, she's amazing. And I'll put all the information in the bottom and so everyone has it. Do you have any events or anything coming up? Are you going to any conferences anytime soon? Because I know there's always stuff popping up.
It's kind of, well, I have the Peace Summit, which is going to be at Serpent Mound. That's in March. I'll be
Is
attending
that in
that.
Ohio, Serpent
Yeah.
Mound? Oh, that's so cool. And when is that, March?
Spring equinox, March. I want to
I
say
want to go to that. I wanted to go to that. So did Tyler. We were talking about like filming something there because it's like the huge serpent. Like, yeah. So that would be so fun to do like a whole thing from there and show people because it's so cool. I totally doing that. Okay, go ahead.
that would be amazing if you could come to that. Those are very sacred lines. They're dragon lines, and they're fields of information that are now being birthed into plasmic frequencies that are actually going to support the planet. So these are direct memory fields from the higher planes of creation. The dragon mothers, dragons play a huge part in the formation of worlds and the creation of what's happening here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like I really didn't believe, or at least it didn't resonate the whole, dragon thing and then all of a sudden 6 months ago, I'm like, Sophia the dragon, Sophia Christos, Sophia dragon energy. And I start like writing that song that I have. One of my songs it's called Dragons of Avalon. And it's like Sophia. And I'm like, where did this come from? So it's like, even though it's almost like we're coming to this thing where we're feeling Atlantis, we're feeling all these lives. We're now going to our dragon and serpentine energy and coming back to like, or, even a reptilian energies, reptilian brain. Like we're merging into so much that it's like, I would feel like I'm turning into an elf with my ears. Like I'm starting to believe in everything, like the elementals, just because it's like how much more synchronicities and how many more crazy magical things can happen before you're like, you know what? Maybe werewolves and, vampires are a thing. Like maybe Twilight was a true movie, like a documentary. You never know.
Maybe it is. My great grandmother used to tell me stories about the evil spirits. She was Hungarian. She grew up near Transylvania.
Oh, wow. She
Their
must have been.
story stuck with me.
Right. And think about it. It's still like mixed into everything with like, what's going on, which we can talk about another time. And we can talk about all like the conspiracies that have become true. But the gargoyles and all that representation always seems to come about in those certain types of areas. So we'll talk about that next time because I think someone just walked in too. It was so great speaking with you. I can't even wait to continue healing with you and learning from you. And hopefully during the metaphysical hour, yeah, like you can even, people reach out who want to speak with Ashley and, be guests on the show. Cause like I want to be, but I'm sure they're going to get sick of hearing, from me. But if we can also get some other empowered women that, want to speak now and feeling that power, the more we speak up, as hard as it is, because I have stage fright, it's not that easy and I ramble, but as hard as it is, I'm pushing myself because something is making me do it. So I'm honoring that by doing this, as silly as I might look, because if I don't, then like I'm dishonoring also Ashley, who I believe is like the real deal and can do so much good. And I have to push myself to be able to support my sister. And I would do that for anybody out there.
It's a co-creation.
Yes. We're not in this alone. We all think we're a solo, but we're one big ball of energy, like you said. And if we're all one, then we have to start acting like it, because then we're never going to go home or put together the puzzle if we don't, right? I love you so much. You're such a gift. Like you've just brightened up like so much in my life. It's I'm so glad we met.
Thank you so much, Jane. I feel this.
All right, hon. So we'll talk soon, and thanks. And we'll put all your website info and have an awesome night and awesome weekend. So
thank you.
Bye. Thank you guys. It was great seeing you. Talk to you soon. Don't forget, like, hey, hon, just making sure I don't mess this up.
You left, but I think it's still recording.
Okay. I was going to say, I think I got to work on the tutorial on this thing because I think there has to upload. So I don't know if we're supposed to like still have to leave our things up, but let's see. Some tracks are still uploading. So it says
it says 99% uploading.
Okay, cool. But is it still recording too? Or
yeah. Should I leave?
Yeah, you leave.